guys, at CBC News here. The typical Canadian kitchen is likely to contain many ingredients or foods that have been genetically modified. Everything from bread to tomatoes, corn and soya oil has been produced from altered food organisms. Some estimates peg as many as 30,000 different products on grocery store shelves as modified. That's largely because processed foods contains soy. Half of North Americans' soy crop is genetically engineered. The term genetically modified refers to alterations of genetic material. Specifically, it means the genes of one organism have been cut out and then pasted into another organism, like they do with tomatoes, fish. GM plants are often created to resist disease and eliminate the need for pesticides. Desired characteristics such as harder texture, higher nutritional value, or faster growth are chosen to produce a kind of superfood. About 60% of our processed foods contain some genetic modifications. Greenpeace and the Council of the Canadians argue GM foods are a health risk. They say the food industry should be more transparent in its creation and testing of GM foods. They also point out that there's no long-term study effects on modified foods on human health. They want an independent testing agency to monitor the effects of modified foods. I'm gonna have to volunteer for that study group. It's freaky. Greenpeace Canada has released its own shoppers list of GMO-free foods. So I'm gonna look that up and post a link. Consumers in Europe have exerted more pressure on their governments. Both Nestle UK and Unilever UK have dropped GM ingredients from their products, but the North American arms have not. In the US, new voluntary rules have been created. Most of the suggested rules came from the food industry itself. So, if they feel like they're going to benefit from putting GMO on the label, they'll voluntarily do it. But what benefit do you think that would give them? No, you wouldn't buy it, so they're not going to do it. Labeling. It says at least 35 countries have adopted mandatory labeling for any product that has been genetically modified. The European Parliament passed laws in July 2003 on GMOs, lifting the 7-year ban on the introduction of new biotech products. As of April 18, 2004, all products containing ingredients that contain more than 9% of GMO foods must be labeled. Animal feed containing GMOs also have to be labeled. 35 countries did that. So who's running them? So there's 35 countries out there that the people matter? Their say actually means something. The new rules will allow GMOs as long as they are clearly labeled. In Canada, a free vote in Parliament October 7, 2001 defeated a bill by Liberal MP Charles Cassia. His private member bill, C-287, would have required mandatory labeling genetically altered foods. Instead, the federal government has instructed a committee to look into the matter and report back. Health Canada has taken the position that GM foods are just as safe as conventional foods. Foods must be labeled in Canada if it's pasteurized, irradiated, or contains possible allergens such as peanuts. Food manufacturers are allowed to put voluntary labels such as fat-free or even, as one of the East Coast potato companies said, derived from plant biotechnology, but there are no rules concerning GM foods. The CFIA will inspect a food product and call it GMO-free if it is to be exported to a country that requires such a label. But there are no rules governing GMO labels for food products sold within Canada.